Welcome to Karen in the Kitchen. Let me get my cornbread skillet out of the oven real quick. It should be good and hot. I'm working on some cornbread for the meal tonight. I can't wait to tell you what all we're fixing today. It's really going to be great. Now this cornbread is the same recipe that I made back with the fresh greens out of the garden episode, so be sure and check that out. But let me show you what I did a little different. This is some corn that we grew in our own garden that I've added to the cornbread mixture tonight. Like I've said before, that basic cornbread recipe, it's wonderful by itself, but you can do all kinds of things with it. So I decided to add some of that corn out of the garden in there. Listen to that, it's gonna be perfect. Good hot skillet, oil's good and hot. Let me get this mixed in and get it in the oven and get it going, because this, as you can see, this is a big bowl. It really is gonna be a thick piece of cornbread. So it's going to take a little while for it to get ready. So I want to go ahead and get it rolling as I work on the other items. So let me get this in the oven and then show you some other things that we're going to be doing today. Mameen always taught me that your cornbread recipes should be good and juicy. She said she always thought it needed to be juicy. Now Mameen turned 100 years old this year. And it's been wonderful celebrating. We visited with her today, an amazing lady, and just look forward to more time with her. We love her so much. So let me get this in the oven. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be good. Now let me show you what I've got ready. I've already prepared, so I don't have to fool with. This is some green beans out of our garden as well, and some little baby potatoes. That I threw in there. These things smell so good. My husband walked in just a few minutes ago and he said, God, those green beans smell good. This meal really is all about knowing where your food came from, okay? I've shared before that growing up as a kid, many times that we sat down at the table and I remember feeling a sense of pride about all of the food that was on the table, that I had a hand in helping to raise it, prepare it, and make it get to the table. So that's kind of what we're doing tonight. We're gonna do country fried deer steak, and I'm gonna show you what I did with the deer meat in just a little bit, but let me show you the other fixings. Remember those potatoes that we talked about? We made a good old-fashioned southern potato salad. Look how beautiful that is. Now these are the ingredients that I used in the potato salad: some green onion, and of course some pickles, and some mayonnaise, some Dijon mustard, and some salt and pepper, and some boiled eggs. And that's all I did with that. You know, potato salad is a staple in the South, and there are as many versions as there are people in the South. So sometimes we do it this way, sometimes we change it up. If the kids are coming home, they don't want all the onions and stuff in there, so I'll make it plain for them. So it just depends on how your family likes it. Potato salad, green beans, cornbread's in the oven. Let's go over here and talk about what we're gonna make to go with the deer. All right, this is some bacon drippings. And what we're going to do is make a white gravy. You've heard of chicken fried chicken and chicken fried steak. Basically, we're doing a country fried deer meat. And it's going to be delicious with a white gravy on top of it, okay? So we'll show you a little bit more about the meat and what we're going to do with it. But this is what we're going to do to get the gravy made. Before I've shown you in different episodes where you brown the flour. That's not what we're going to do this time, okay? We don't want to brown the flour. We're going to keep this as a white gravy. I'm going to put a couple of good heaping spoons here of the just plain white flour and get this heated up really well. And then the basis for this is, of course, is going to be milk, okay? We're going to be adding some whole milk, some half and half, and then just to loosen it up a little bit, because it'll be pretty thick, we're going to add some beef broth. Now, I'm using the beef broth with this particular white gravy because I think it goes better with the deer, okay? So depending on what you're fixing, certainly pork, you would want to use a chicken stock. But I think it really does go well. I actually made this white gravy not too long ago with something else we had here, and it was so good, and we ate on it all during the week. So I'm looking forward to doing that again. So let me work on this white gravy. We're just kind of dissolving that bacon drippings, getting the pan good and hot. You can see all those lumps went away very nicely. Now, one of the key ingredients in a white gravy to me is black pepper. You've got to have a lot of black pepper in a white gravy. At least I think so. I think the flavor is really good in a white gravy. So we're just stirring this around and letting it heat up real good. This won't take long to make, okay? It's not like stirring this around when you're making a brown gravy where you have to really be careful, or a roux, you know, where you have to scrape and be careful till you get to the right color that you're looking for. Right now I'm just looking to get this good and hot, and then we're going to start building the basis for everything. So let me go ahead and put a little bit of salt in here. It's going to have a little salt already from the bacon drippings. But like I said, we want a lot of black pepper. And I'm going to be adding this several times till I get it just the way that I want it. So we kind of got this going. I'm going to set this flour out of the way. Now, let's just add some good old whole milk. It really is a simple recipe to make, but I love adding the half and half in here. The half and half really gives it a richness, and just, oh my goodness, you can just eat it with a spoon. You don't really have to put it on anything, but it's going to go very well with our fried deer steak. Look how beautiful it is already. And the half and half is going to help thicken it up as well. Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. I'm going to work with this for a little while and get it to the consistency that I want. I'm going to taste it several times, make sure that it's got the salt and certainly the black pepper that I'm looking for. And I'll show you the finished product in just a few minutes, and then we're going to talk about that deer meat and how we put that together. The white gravy is done and it's perfect. Take a look at this. I've got it out of the way. Look at that, steaming hot. It's just beautiful. That is just a beautiful white gravy. Tested it, made sure it had the right seasoning. You can see the black pepper in there. Really, you cannot put too much black pepper in that. I don't think. I think it's perfect like that. Let me get that out of the way because we're fixing to start the process of frying our deer meat. Let's get this over here out of the way. Put this right here. Now, let me show you what we've got going. Now, this is some beautiful deer meat. Look how gorgeous that is. The only thing I've done to that is salt it as far as seasoning is concerned. But this has become one of my favorite tools to use in the kitchen. This is a meat mallet, and it is perfect for tenderizing anything. Chicken, beef, deer meat. It works perfectly. So what we did is a few days ago, we took this deer meat out and we soaked it in some salt water a couple times and cleaned it up real well, cut it into the slices that we want, and then I just exerted some of my frustrations. I took them out on this deer meat by using that meat mallet, and just pounded it and tenderized it, and it's going to be ready to go. Cut with a fork and knife, and it's ready to go. Now, how are we going to fry this? I've got my stations set up here. What we've done with our flour is we've put a little bit of garlic powder in there as well as a little paprika. The meat has the salt on it already, so we don't need any more of that. So I've got 3 stations here. We're going to take the meat, we're going to dip it into our dry, then an egg wash. This is a milk and an egg together, milk and egg wash, and then back into our flour again, and then fry it in our skillet. This oil is in the process of getting hot. I'm watching it. I don't want it to get too hot. And then after it fries for just a few minutes on one side, then I'll flip it, fry it on the other, and then take it on over and let it drain. And we've got a sheet pan here with a rack in it. I know we all grew up with the plate with the paper towels on it, you know, when we fry stuff, but you know how things can get kind of moist or damp just from sitting on those paper towels? This really is so much better to do that. Now, that's not to say I don't still use the other way myself. I do still use that occasionally, but that's a great way to do it. And we're just going to work our way through each of these stations, fry, and then set over to the side. Let that oil get hot though for a few more minutes, and I'll show you how it looks when we get through with it. Cornbread is smelling good. Our other sides are ready to go, and then we'll show you what we're going to do when we sit down to eat this wonderful meal. Yeah. All right, we've got one batch of the deer meat ready, so I wanted to show you what we're doing here. Okay, looks beautiful as you can see. Now what we're doing is we're taking our deer meat, we're running it through a dry, through our egg and milk wash, and then one more dry as well. And again, this is just some plain flour with some garlic powder and paprika, but the deer meat also has already been salted. Now you don't want to overcrowd your skillet, but I think I can get 4 pieces in here again. Some of these pieces of deer meat are pretty big, so I won't do that many. You want to give the deer meat plenty of room to do what it needs to do in there. So make sure you kind of watch that. This will be just right though, I think. There we go. That's going to work perfectly. Let me cover that back up so I don't make too much of a mess, but that deer meat is beautiful. But something I wanted to show you guys, because I've had a few people say your house is beautiful. You know, there is a story behind this house, and maybe we'll get a chance to tell you a little more about that. But I kind of consider it like an art project, an ongoing art project. And I don't have any trouble looking at a blank space for a while until I get inspired and something hits me and it just speaks to me and says it needs to go there. So I wanted to show you something that's really special to me. When my youngest daughter was expecting her twins and my oldest daughter flew home for a baby shower, I told the girls, let's go walking. We went out walking and I spotted this limb that had fallen out of a red cedar tree. And I told the girls, I said, I've got to, let's pick this up and set it over to the side out of the way. And after we finished our walk and came back through, both of my daughters, and even my pregnant daughter with the twins, but of course she barely touched the limb. We didn't want her carrying too much, but both of my girls helped me carry this limb back here to the house. Now, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. I hung on to it for a good while, and I kept thinking, what do I need to do with that? And then an indoor bottle tree is what actually spoke to me. And I started sanding that thing and pressure washing it. I let it dry really good and put a clear coat on it. I love the way that it turned out. But something else that's also special to me is the painting that's behind that up there. That painting with those birds, I hung that there for a reason because I wanted it to look like the birds are in the tree. That painting was made by Mommy, that 100-year-old lady that you got to meet earlier in an earlier episode, and someone that's so special to us. So that painting is something that I really, really love to look at. It makes me happy when I look at it. So that came together really well, and I was just happy. And the girls, when they came home, they could not believe what we had done with the bottle tree and how it worked out up there. So it turned out perfectly. I love doing art projects. I love just finding something that you wouldn't think that could be used and then recycling it and using it. It really does bring me a lot of joy when I look at that. Deer meat's looking good. We're going to keep on frying, making our way through all of this meat. Look how good that looks. After it fries for a little while on one side, we flip that over so that it is golden brown on both sides. Look how beautiful that is. Cornbread is not quite ready, but it's getting there. One thing I do want to emphasize when you're using wild game, and especially deer meat, is just don't overcook it. It doesn't taste good when it's fried too much or cooked too long. It dries out because it doesn't have a lot of fat in it. And something else I really love about this meal is I know where it came from. We raised so many different parts of this meal. Now, that's not to say I don't go to the grocery store and buy things. Yes, I do that. I have to. I can't raise everything that we eat. But this meal tonight is just all about the fresh vegetables out of the garden, the work that we do in the summertime to enjoy it all year long. It just is so great to be able to do that. So we'll put it all together here after we finish frying up all that deer meat. The cornbread's ready, so I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the oven. I have probably about 2, maybe 3 more batches of deer meat to go. I cannot tell you how ready we are to eat. But let's get the cornbread out. Oh my gosh. Look how beautiful that is. Oven's off. Oh, Mommy, your cornbread is the best. Look how beautiful that cornbread is. All right, I'm gonna give this just a few minutes. What'll happen is it's gonna contract from the hot skillet and it's gonna pop right out and right onto our plate. It's gonna be delicious. This is always the moment of truth when the cornbread pops out of the skillet. I have to tell you, the cream corn that we put in there, that's out of our garden. It always makes it a little bit thicker, so let's see if it's gonna happen. Oh my gosh. Look how beautiful that cornbread is. That is going to be delicious. Smells wonderful too. Let me get my skillet back in that hot oven so it'll cure again. We're ready to eat. Deer meat's ready. Everything is ready to go. Take a look at this plate. I'm gonna add some potato salad. I love this potato salad. A true Southern delicacy, or favorite, I guess I should say. A nice, beautiful piece. Look at this cornbread. I think my husband took a piece of that. Okay, and then there is our fried deer meat. Look how beautiful the deer meat turned out. It's gorgeous. It's not overcooked. We've been sampling it, so I know that already, but I wanted to get a good bite of it with the white gravy on top as well. I'm telling you, this is the most tender, delicious meat you could eat. It just has a wonderful flavor. That is so delicious. So tender, you know. Look at this plate. Deer meat, green beans out of the garden, potatoes out of the garden, cornbread that has corn in it from out of the garden. You could not finish the day with a better meal. Let me get busy. Thank y'all, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. Bye.